Shall we go early?
We're ready.
Right, good evening everyone. Welcome to the September edition of the Parish Council meeting. And welcome to those in the gallery. Any apologies?
We just, if I may, in public session, just cover one thing, if that's okay. We had a letter in from Steve Towers. Dear Sir, it's noticeable that the roadside drainage is blocked from the roundabout to West Lodge and needs attention. It's clearly obvious that the excessive spray from passing traffic is destroying the brickwork of the wall. This is the big wall, obviously on the opposite side of the road, and at times splash from traffic wheels over the wall into West Lodge's garden. Could you please raise this at your next parish council meeting and possibly request rectification of the problem from highways, as winter is fast approaching and I'm fearful that frosty weather would accelerate the destruction of the brickwork. I have many times written to them when we've reported blockages, but I will do that again with the Commission and Council.
Thank you. The minutes of the last council meeting. Anyone any matters arising from them?
Having the food first. Having the food first, if you may.
Right. They're all happy with the minutes of the last council meeting. No problems, no matters arising. Are we accept them as a accurate record and sign them on? Can we vote on that one?
If everybody's happy, so long as if nobody's not happy, then we can see on it.
The new pen.
Yes. We've got a posh new pen that somebody sent to
Pass it round there.
the clerk. It says Hummels Bollingmoor Parish Council on it. It's got my postcode on, but there you go.
Have we any declarations of interest on any item on the agenda?
I've got a non-pecuniary interest on one of the following applications.
That's the Chestnut one, is it?
Yeah.
The village hall obviously, and also the field behind Cherry's Drive as well.
Okay.
And is that also with the rest of the people that are here that are also on the village hall committee?
The rest of the people are going to go committee, do you feel you've got them?
No,
Very interesting. Nathan? Ian?
Yeah.
What else have we got? Okay.
I'll just record it as everybody's on the committee.
Okay. Right, we'll move on to matters arising. Parish Council vacancy.
Yeah, I've sent out information, I think, to everybody on that. The election is on the 16th of October, which is the day after the next parish council meeting.
Peter, I feel quite strongly about this election, and I brought somebody down in a way to bring this to the council. I'm nowhere saying that the election should not have been called for, and fully understand that it is the parishioners' democratic right. But after receiving the signature list of 12 residents who have called for this election, I did wonder who had produced the form for the people to sign, and more importantly, did those people realise the costs to be incurred in order to hold this by-election, costs paid directly from the precepts money. I am merely suggesting that the residents should be informed of the full facts involved. Do they know that if an election had not been called, the new parish council would have been co-opted with the agreement of the current parish councillors? This has been done previously and would have saved a significant amount of money. And did they know that a full election is due to be implemented in May 2015? I propose that we should write a piece in the grapevine from the parish council to explain to residents how the process works. That this election will not be held until October, therefore a new parish councillor will only serve around 6 meetings in office. at a cost of approximately £200 per meeting. I understand the total cost of the election will be around £1,300, when this money could be particularly spent in other areas. The precepts allocated money should be fully explained to residents, and it is their money, including where it is gathered from. Where we should highlight is the money is spent unnecessarily on elections. This could mean that this council could be forced to increase the precept money again this year, which in turn will mean a rise in residents' council tax. These facts could easily be included in a general article in the Grapevine. I do strongly believe it's the residents' money, and they should be made fully understand how it's spent, where savings could be made, and even more importantly, this will be the third election in around 18 months at a total cost of £4,000. Furthermore, I have been asked, and I know other council around this table have been asked on numerous occasions from residents who has called for the election. I am aware of the importance of the transparency in all matters, but I am also aware that this could cause some controversy. Mr Clark, is this information that will be the public domain anyway, and am I at liberty to inform residents which of their fellow residents have called for this expensive election? Thank you.
Was that a question to me then, Oscar?
Yes, sorry.
The information is in the public domain and you know about it because somebody asked me to get the information, so there's no reason why you can't tell anybody.
Yeah. So that's my proposal to put the piece.
I'll second that.
Can you agree with that?
We all feel similar
Well,
opinion?
I've actually been stopped by a couple of people wanting to know why again it's, you know, who and who it was. So
Did you explain to them why we're having an election?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can do that.
Yeah.
But that I don't think that's
That
significant.
That's not the relevancy, I don't think it's the relevance.
relevant. The last election was called because a councillor decided to resign.
Retired.
Retire.
And one more resigned at the same time, didn't they?
Sorry.
So yeah, I don't think it's relevant why, but I do agree that £1,300 would be better spent.
But you must also make it clear to them that it isn't a democratic right.
Yeah.
Oh, I've no problem with that, Ian. I've no problem with that. Democracy must come first.
Yes.
But at what cost to this parish?
One of the things that we need to be factual about this, quite clear, no side on it at all.
No?
And if the ex-chairman had resigned at the same time, when he knew he was going to have to leave anyway, if he'd done his resignation in time for the other election, it was all been done at one go, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But as I've said here, Gordon, this is the third election.
I
That's just
agree.
a full example. That's it, really.
But if he timed his resignation and he could have done that, and he would have known he would have to go, instead of hanging on to the bitter end.
I've had the same comments as Councillor Roberts just read out and said that we cannot understand why we're wasting this money just for...
It's not being wasted, it's people's democratic rights to do that.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, there has
We
been...
know it's
This
being
is quite a big council,
we
Ian.
know it's being
A lot of this has been
democratic.
voted on, and there are set, members sat round that were co-opted.
Yeah.
A co-option is it doesn't make a bad councillor.
But I don't think you should be condemning certain residents
No,
because of
no.
the election.
No, it's their democratic right.
Right.
But what I want to explain, Ian, as I said here,
Yeah.
is do they understand what the cost, and it is a cost to them
Yeah.
and to everybody else in the village. And what's the point for 6 months, for 6 meetings? It seems ludicrous.
If it was under 6 meetings, then the one wouldn't be called.
Well,
5 meetings or less, then 5 months or less before a general election, you don't have to have an election.
but the
Just happens to be one
previous
month
elections,
out.
when you were elected, it cost £20 per, it cost this council £20 per person that actually voted that night. Democracy at a price to the council. So, all in favour of a piece in the Grapevine explaining?
Yes.
Okay. Against? Okay, Ian.
I'll prepare something and then I'll send it out to everybody. Comments?
Yeah, please do that, Steve, and then we can just make sure we're happy with it. If it's straight and factual, that's fine.
Yeah. Standing orders amendment.
Yep. The fact that parish council meeting can now be recorded necessitate a change, should I say, in the standing orders, because they did say that mobile phones, etc., should be switched off. Well, that obviously can't be the case if they're going to be used to record meetings. So I just basically changed the relevant thing to say mobile phones or any other electronic or similar devices which may cause disturbance should be switched to silent mode. And I think that covers that. And I put these standing orders were adopted on 17th of September 2014, which is today, to include the new legislation attached, i.e. recording of parish and town councils, and I've attached to the standing orders the simple 2-page set of information that I sent out to you all. So if people are happy with that,
Are all happy?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, just put your logo at the end of it, please, and I'll update it and so forth. Thank you.
Child Protection Officer public meeting update.
Yeah, I had a long chat with, he's not called the Child Protection Officer, but a policeman who works for Homicide Police. They're going through a big reorganisation fairly soon. You'll have seen in the press that the cuts are having to be made, etc. The guy I spoke to would be delighted to come to a public meeting. He's not sure that he will be in post after, I'm not sure whether it was this week or next week when the reorganisation is being set up. But he will arrange for somebody to come. I've given him the 2 dates towards the end of October, which I have told you about, so I haven't got a note of when the 2 dates are. But it was 2 Wednesdays, wasn't it, I think? Was it the 22nd and 29th of October, which allows it then to be advertised in the grapevine. The guy said that he would probably, or somebody would come along and do a half-hour to 3/4 presentation about the work of that department. And that department's work is quite wide-ranging. It's not just sexual abuse to children or anything like that. It's general abuse, bullying, etc., etc. He said it would be a general overview. He or whoever comes wouldn't be able to talk about or comment on specific cases, and that's standard, I think, with when the police present to the public. And then they will take question and answers. So as soon as I know, I'll arrange that. Where would you like that to happen?
Here?
In here?
Yeah, I think so.
I'll check that to make sure we've got the date then. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Parish Council website update.
Yeah, Bethany has very kindly taken that on board, and Bethany's been in touch. Well, sorry, why am I? Go on, carry on.
I've bought a URL which is HOSM Parish Council, in full Parish Council but not .org.uk. We had quite a discussion about whether we were a company or an organisation. We thought org was probably better. They were the same price, so we went with it. It's £6.98 plus VAT for 2 years, so it's really big charges, you know. So that's what I've gone for. I've sent off the form. The East Riding of Yorkshire Council are hosting the site. I've sent that off to them. I had to pick some colours and things, but hopefully we could change those if people didn't agree. So, I basically said, yes, we want everything they could possibly put on there, and we'll try and fill it in, even if it's just a sort of holding thing to say, you know, we haven't got details of all local businesses yet, but this is coming. If it's just a holding page, it's there, and then people can let me know and I can put them on. So that's all there. We will therefore have the ability to have parish council email addresses, which would be anything you like at hosmparishcouncil.org.uk. And you get some quite novel things for anything you like. But if you wanted to have specific email addresses that forwarded on to for example, the chairman or the clerk or whatever, we can do that within the software that I use for this. So if we wanted to have particular posts that, if you had named ones, there's then technical difficulties with whether anybody else can look at those. So if it came to Bethany Jenkins at Housing Parish Council, that's my protected thing then because it's got my name on it. If it came to webmaster or whatever title, you know, at Housing Parish Council, that's a position thing, so it's not protected. So I suggest we do it by positions if we can, but, you know, we have that ability if people want those setting up, we can do so.
Any questions on that?
Okay, well, when Bethany presses a button, I'll then feed agendas, minutes and grapevines to her, and then we'll look at the register of interest that by law need to be on there, plus all the policies that the parish council have got, and then goodness knows how long we'll get it all up to date.
When will you start, Bethany, feeding this?
Well, I'm waiting for them to come back to me with what hosting information. I can't do anything until they've come back to me, and it took them a little while to come back, and then I had to sort of...
What, would it be a couple of weeks?
I would have thought so. It shouldn't take very long to set up, and then once it's set up, it should be dead easy to put at least holding pages in place. So at the moment, I've tried to keep it all simple, and nothing, you know, just keep it easy. We don't want anything controversial, so we had to have a logo, which I don't think we've got a parish logo, have we?
No.
So we had to go for a logo or a thing, so I went for a picture of the stone sign saying Home on Spalding Moor, because I thought that was, you know, not controversial.
Okay. Wind turbine community funds.
Just a couple of very quick things to report. I've been in touch with the Sancton Hill wind farm. Basically, they've got annual payments of £35,000 available for good causes within a 3-mile radius. We sit outside of that, but they're having a review, I think it's in September, to decide whether they should look at area of benefit being outside of that 3 mile. And I've made the strong point to them that residents from Sancton have got the option of coming to the WI, the football club, the Thursday club, etc., in Holmes Polymore, and therefore perhaps, you know, that money should come into it. I've also now established contact with Gallimore. There's a new guy who's involved with setting up the Gallimore wind turbine site. Unfortunately, just broken both legs, so when he gets back on office duties, we might be able to talk to them about it. We also had a meeting, which I think is on the same thing on the agenda, about the adoption of Moor End access roads. I met with Victoria. She very kindly set up a meeting with a guy called Paul Whirlidge to talk about the 2 Moor End access roads. I wasn't encouraged at his response. He had a look and muttered about lack of street lighting and drainage and so forth, but he said he'd go away and have a look at it. I would suggest we don't hold our breath, and I don't think there's much more we can do about it. So I shall take that off the agenda if that's okay with everybody. And the same with Snowdrop. Snowdrop is not adopted because the contractors haven't done something very simple, and I didn't really understand what he was talking about, but I've asked him to keep nagging the contractor to try and keep that going.
Thank you. Cemetery report. And we'll move to the memorial.
Well, a big thank you to Gordon. In that Jerry Walton arrived before the meeting and signed a letter to say that he was the closest living relative of Tom Cooper, and he gave permission for the memorial to be moved into the cemetery. So that now is the trigger, and I can then start talking to the church in the parochial council in York. And there's a system to go through, and there'll be small payments here and there, and obviously I'll report back on that as it happens. And the other thing, the cemetery, I just had an email today from Dawn Brocklesby saying that she's now back on holiday and would like to meet up. So I don't know if the burial committee have an evening where they might be able to meet, say, at 5:30 while it's still light, fairly soon.
So is that to discuss the siting of that board?
This is this notice board, yeah.
Well, I noticed on that the document you sent around that the road goes the other way.
I think, if I may, the Bail Committee on the evening looked at it and thought, well, her access doesn't go where the notice board is.
Yes.
It looks to go straight through the hedge and then through where, I think, was it the Commonwealth Wall Road?
That's right.
Yes.
That sort of area. So for her good, she needs, I think, her deeds to be changed. And maybe that might be pointed out to her when they meet with
I
her.
think it needs to be firm handled.
So that's...
I'm sure the Borough Committee will. But I didn't think it just needed. I don't know. When I saw that diagram, I was really surprised because I assumed it came through where the notice board was, and it doesn't at all, does it?
It doesn't appear to, no. Not unless you've got other information.
Mm.
So,
we need to check the width of the access. Do the on there somewhere? Because I mean, it's quite wide, isn't it, with all the trees that are already planted there. In fact, what's the width of the trees is the width of their access, and the board is away from that, isn't it? So,
we need to show her that, which I haven't sent her. I mean, I could send her that if you think that would be a good idea. I think I've got that. Did I email that to people?
You gave it to us at the meeting.
I did. Well, I can post that to her in advance of a meeting, if you think we
I think
should.
it's emailed to me, Steve, I've seen
Right.
it. You sent it to me.
I can check, but if you want me to give her that information, I happily will, if that's in order.
Yes.
And when would you like to meet the lady? It needn't necessarily be a formal committee meeting. It could be an informal conversation with her. Monday the 22nd of September, is that? Do people have that as a free time at 5:30?
It's best to do it because there's everybody was.
Well, let me check with her. 5:30 on the 22nd, Monday the 22nd of September. And...
It's history month, it's another one.
Sorry, say that again.
It's the local history group.
Oh, is it?
It's that
Oh,
way, yes.
sorry.
Yeah, but you're going to be not getting a term, aren't you?
We could,
Sometimes you look that bill quite a long time, aren't
You can nowadays.
Thursday the 25th. Shall we go for that as an initial?
I think that's mine.
Yeah. So I'll check with Mrs. Bottlesby Thursday the 25th at 5:30, and then I'll keep in touch with the Bail Committee by email once I've discussed that with them. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Could I just say something about the burial ground and the cemetery? That it's looking absolutely swish at the moment. It looks like a garden. It's a credit to Peter and to start.
But we're not telling that.
No, but you can't. People are actually talking about
Yes,
it down in
yeah.
the village, saying how nice it
Yes,
is.
they are.
Yeah.
He's a treasure.
15 seconds. Right, we'll move on then to handyman himself. Issues. New storage facility at what time?
If I can just report on the handyman element of that, please, in that Peter and Helen and this Peter and myself are meeting on Saturday to review the summer in terms of what work has been done and to look at the winter and what work needs doing for the winter. Obviously, if it's a severe weather, then that will kick in, but if it isn't, Peter needs to, perhaps, we need to talk to him about what needs doing. Steve Deere, who's behind us, isn't available for that meeting, but I'll meet with him afterwards, and we'll talk through any input that we've got for Steve's hours as well on that. Because I think it's important that we review the work every 6 months and look at the season gone and the season coming. So that's this coming Saturday.
Thank you. Waterside Farm. Now, since the last council meeting, at which we voted to go ahead for using the facility offered to us at Waterside Farm, we have been refused access on Mr Huddleston's road. I went back to Mr Williamson. He offered us access through Waterside Farm itself, which isn't a problem. To bring you up to date, after I informed people about this, people being Ian, Mr Hulton came back and then offered us, free of charge, some facilities at Malpits Farm. We've got to I didn't mention it at council, but this was an offer made by Mr Williamson 4 months ago, free accommodation. The previous chair, myself and the clerk sat down and decided that we just couldn't do it. This would leave us wide open to accusations of bias at any future planning thing. So that was thrown out, and we actually said to him, you know, we want to pay rent. Again, that took a couple of months, but we thought we got to somewhere that was acceptable. I can't think of, looking at the free offer again, Malpits Farm is further out of the village, and if we got to really bad weather, that may cause further problems. It may not. But I think because the council's already accepted an offer and voted in favour of it, I'm of an opinion we should just carry on as we were. Peter and I have been through this other access given to us. There isn't a problem. And I will add to that, apart from the storage facility for our equipment, we've been offered the use of a polytunnel for about almost the size of this room, which, from my point of view, for in Bloom, that would be an absolute boom. So my opinion is that we stick with what we voted on last month.
Did we thank Mr Wilson very much for this?
I haven't, but I'd like Ian to, but just explain to him that we did have this offer from Alan Williamson, and we thought it a very, very dodgy place to put the council.
Right. Yeah,
I think you said
didn't communicate that itself.
I don't know your best. Did you used to live down Sands Lane?
My brother did.
Is there a resemblance?
Right. I don't have a bite.
Yeah. You know, I live almost opposite, but yeah. But I say that was the original offer from Alan Williamson. So, anyone else? Any views?
I just think as long as we have a proper legal tenancy drawn up, that's the way it has to be.
That's to be done. I've held fire because of what we've got from Mr. Livingston. I just, you know, I haven't actually progressed anything.
You sure the access is fine then now? The access is okay then now?
I've been through it, Gordon.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Yeah, absolutely fine. Someone did mention a wall, but Macau walked right through walls. And I have driven through the farm. There are walls there, but obviously some have been taken down. Yeah.
As Mr Williamson has stated, it's accessible to it.
It would like it kept into the minimum number of people possible, because your offer of building the keys is good, but they're all coded locks.
Right.
So the minimum number of people possible to have gate codes. With their initial thoughts were me, Peter and Steve, because they might need to get in for equipment. Peter obviously.
That's Steve Deals.
That's Steve Deals. And keep it at 3, unless there was, a major problem. And then anyone knowing that those 3 have got the code, if there was an emergency and someone needed to be in, and fine.
Well, geographically I'm closest if it ever comes to that. Geographically I'm closest if it ever comes to that.
Yeah, but the other thing, I used to be key owner for a company, and if there was a problem, and the police or emergency service, they wouldn't come to us, because we're only renting the place, we go to the owner. But yes, thank you anyway. Anyone any other comments on that? If you haven't, then I'm going to go ahead and get an agreement signed or drawn up for us to look at. Okay? Moving on again. Maintenance of the church graveyard, contribution from the church.
Yeah, I've now received a cheque from Debbie Braid, £500, which is the church's contribution to the maintenance for 2014. And it's just really to confirm information that was agreed by the parish council at the end of last year, that presuming this year would work okay, which it has, then the parish council would take on maintenance of the grass at no cost to the church in further years. So just to have that sort of reinforced, that decision reinforced.
Yeah. Great line.
Is that okay with everybody? Sorry.
Sorry, yeah, is everyone happy with that? This was agreed quite a while ago now, but
Yeah.
we will eventually be doing it. Great line.
Bear in mind the deadline for the current edition is the 26th, which is coming up. The plan then is to send you all a copy as soon as possible after that, and then I'll be looking at printing week commencing the 6th of October, and the delivery date is planned as being Sunday the 12th of October. We've got an esteemed editor at the back there if anybody has any questions. And obviously, please, anybody that's involved, if they could note the deadline and make sure that Emily gets as much information as possible, as soon as possible, so she can start to lay it out. And that's, I've just, if I may report, I've met with Mike Wright from the soccer club last week, I think. He wanted to stand in the election, and as per my email to everybody, I've supported him by helping him fill out the form. And once we got that out of the way, we talked about all sorts of things to do with football, and the £300 cheque that you have granted the football club will be presented tomorrow night at 6:30 on the field, and we've invited Mike from McDonald's to come along. Peter will be there, the under-8s will be there with the new goalposts, and that will make a nice little piece for the grapevine, a nice picture and a piece for the grapevine. Mike will also sort out a regular piece for the grapevine, more connected with children's soccer, male and female, than adults, because he said that obviously is probably what the village wants to see. I said that I will get involved with the club and make an award for all application, or help them with an award for all application to work on the field at the very bottom that needs ploughing up and redoing. It's floods or something. And also they're looking to get accredited with Airbus, the same as we're doing with the History Society and with the homegrown players, which will open up other grant bodies. So that's a big positive, really, for the parish council supporting the soccer club.
Have we got another grapevine before Christmas?
This one will be delivered in October, so one will be delivered in December, yeah, the second Sunday.
Yeah, we've got times, I'm seeing the... I'll have to do Christmas, but which is the one?
It'll have to be this one for Christmas,
Right.
because the delivery will be the 14th, which is quite close to Christmas.
when's the deadline, Emily?
So the 5th.
26th.
The deadline will be the end of November,
26th.
essentially.
Is there room? Can I just ask Emily?
Emily, would there be room to put something in for Christmas? So we can do something like that,
We can put something, I'm sure,
Yeah.
talking about it on the front page. We've got, if we get this meeting arranged for the child protection thing, we can put a note of that on the front page. We've obviously got the vacancy on the front page of the election date, and I'll just put a non-political or whatever list of the people that are standing, because we'll know it by then. And then that could go on as well for Christmas. We could major on Christmas, couldn't we, I suppose? Yeah.
I think, Steve, we should ask Neil Hancock, he could do a report on the Saturday, couldn't he? It would be good coming from Neil.
Carol Keane is looking at that.
Oh,
as well.
Carol.
I don't know whether she was talking about it. She's taken some photos specifically.
The photo of the event on Saturday.
I've got a report of that from a 6-year-old or 10-year-old, a fairly young child anyway. No, year 6, sorry, certainly about 10-year-old. That I sent on to Emily, and she, unfortunately, we haven't got a photo.
There are some things
I-
I've put on the
You
Facebook
put
group
some
that
out, didn't
that
you?
you
Yeah.
can use. I can email
Yeah,
those to
you
you.
put some on.
Well, a photo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic if we can add that. In terms of, just for information, Emily's just sent out, she has a list of people that she asks for contributions to Grapevine, and that's only recently gone out, and that includes everybody. I think you all get it. Victoria gets it, Carol Keane gets it, Neil Hindhoff gets it, etc. Everybody in the village that might have an input. And so things like the Heritage Day is picked up, hopefully, Gordon, with that.
Yeah.
But
I might even remind him. as
well, I was going to say, if you want to remind him or Bethany, whichever. Yeah, okay.
But Carol was specifically taking photos for the report on
Okay.
the day, so I don't know.
Right, grass cutting in the village.
I sent out that email, which I copied you on, saying that I hope people think I'm doing my job properly, which has got a response in that the ward councillor concerned has said that he's meeting with somebody. Not heard anything since at all.
Cherry Drive, backfield, a bit more.
I've not had any information yet at all on that in terms of ownership. Frame Court Homes, I think I said at the relevant meeting that I'm not sure whether they're still in existence, but I've written to the address that I found on the web, well, not on the website, on the internet. They don't have a website, and I've not heard a dicky bird. So I don't know what else I can do in terms of. We've always assumed that it was owned by the East Riding, and in fact, in the past we've worked on that basis, because they've maintained it, and we've talked to them about what might be happening on there, and now that's been disproved. I don't know what else I can do.
Could you not try the land registry there?
I've done that.
You tried that, and they,
There's nothing.
nothing.
There's a massive amount of land in the UK that shows on the land registry as no ownership, and it's all to do when the register was put together, and the only parcels of land that are on the land registry information are where something has happened to that parcel of land since that date, so it's been sold or there's been a boundary dispute or whatever, and then it's put on. But loads of stuff before hasn't.
How long do we give it then for the Frame Court Homes also to come back to us to?
I think you can make an assumption you're not going to hear from them. I mean, I wrote to them in July.
So then do we just presume that the council owns it, or do we adopt it as our? Is that what
I don't think presumably own it, or it's driving.
There's nothing you can do about the ownership of it, because the parish council can't claim it, the East Riding can't claim it, no one can claim it.
But if nobody owns it, then can we?
Well, somebody owns
It's
it.
on there.
Excuse me, somebody does own it.
Would we be able to put some playthings or whatever on there, assuming that whoever it does belong to isn't renewing it anyway?
You could ask Ian.
I found myself in Doncaster on a daily basis. If you want to follow me that address, I can physically go there and take a look. See if Frame Court there. We also have contacting the building industry, and I'll ask around and see if we can get anything from that.
Mr Chairman, I've ideas. I was just going to say,
I have ideas of Frame Court, and I've been to the solicitors and things like that. I still got anywhere with it for the things that's in idea.
You see, Mr Chairman, when they got planning permission for that the site there, they have to leave an area for the recreation area, and all they do is just finish the building and walk away and leave.
But I do know that Frame Court, because he did come to Hawthorne Drive and he did dispute. He says he has a right to claim off any household on Hawthorne Drive. If any building work's been done, that they should be given priority to do that work. And I know when your bungalow was sold, Steve, who sold it to Ian, had to pay Frame Court some money because if they had building work done to their bungalow, and that was in £60.
Right.
So
the last thing you need to do is...
So if it comes to money, they will claim money. But but they're not very forthcoming of actually coming forward for anything else.
So there's no rights, seeing as we've maintained it for all these years, and it could sorted and done whatever we need to do to it to keep it.
Technically, it's been doing that.
The parish council did maintain it for some years,
Oh,
yeah.
thank
Over the
So
last
long, didn't we?
5 years, is it?
Yeah, Steve Atkinson used to put it
Mm.
Before that time.
Clearly by adverse possession then.
Yeah,
Is it 12 years?
10, isn't it?
Well, we're into this.
No, sorry,
You go.
I do know about this because I looked at it from the land on Beacon Moor End, and the only way you can claim adverse possession is if you are the sole users of a piece of land and it's fenced off and nobody else can get in, as has happened with Moor End with Mr. D. He's fenced it off and nobody else has access to it, and so after the 10 or whatever years, then he can claim it by adverse possession. And that isn't possible with backfield.
And that's what I've done behind here because I put a fence up and I've got a hedge up. But I'm not stopping people having access if they want to go onto it. But I have sent letters off to their court solicitors and things like that to say that we can to register the date when we actually do it. Because we are actually maintaining it now.
Okay.
If you do anything, or I'm not saying you shouldn't, if you do anything on there, then there is always a risk. But how big that risk is, I don't know.
It's not
Well,
so
if-
should any child be injured or anything
Yeah.
on that site. Where does that blame then land? Does it blame us?
Oh.
Or does it land with Fern Court since it's
No.
their land and you don't get into legal wrangles?
At the moment, Red dot because it's theirs.
So if we've got to put in up equipment, somebody gets injured,
Then it will be ours.
then it's where does it land?
Steve, sorry to continue. If you have we access to legal advice?
We have, but it will cost obviously, but yes, there is a very good solicitor I've used.
Is it worth asking the question, just to sketch out the situation and ask what we can and what we can't do?
I can do that.
Because if you put something up, or if you put something simple up, and the frame court man comes and says take it down, well then your exposure is fairly limited. If it was a cheap thing you put up, spend all the money, you could be losing a lot of money, couldn't you? They may give you some advice on whether you should risk a small exposure on that.
There are two other sites, aren't there? There's the one, I think it's your actual site where you live, what was designated as a recreational area, up at the top there, and there was another one at the bottom of Cherry Crescents. But they sort of sold them off in bits and pieces. But should they have done that if they were in that for recreational use?
It depends what they were designated, if they were.
They were
At the
designated as...
Well, I mean in a legal
amenity
sense.
areas.
Yeah. I don't know. That's in the midst of time,
The
I guess.
original plans and all that.
But I can go and get legal advice on this if the parish council wish me to. It would obviously cost a bit of money. I've no idea how much, but
How does everyone feel? Should we look into it?
Well, isn't there another village that has a similar problem and ask around to see if anybody's got any advice they can give to have been in the same situation?
I know, sorry to put in there, Helen, the NFU give advice to farmer members free of charge. There's generic advice that you ask the first few questions and they point you in the right direction. Isn't there something like that with local government? Where you can actually go and ask them, you don't ask them to fight a case, but what they do is they tell you what the legal position you are in is.
I do have contact with the legal department in Beverley.
I think it might be worth asking them.
And I
Before you
can
spend any money.
ask a general question based on what it is and see what they say, if they do.
That's what I would do if I was.
For us that.
Yeah.
Shouldn't we decide what we want to do with it? Because that might be a question that's asked. And we haven't actually decided what we want to do with it.
I'm not sure it's even worth pursuing if it isn't our land. And the legal ramifications, obviously, we've got experience on this panel with dealing with frame court. And is it really worth even pursuing and getting into that sort of
Well, we're not pursuing anything until we know. If Clark emails you Precourt's address,
Yes.
and you can
I can
actually
pop down there and see if there's...
en route have a look and see if there's anything there. But no, it wouldn't be foolish just to go into it without knowing. And from what Anthony has said, you know, don't want knocking on the door and saying we want so much because.
Well, I would suggest that Steve just finds if you can ask a question in Beverly, free of charge. I think that would be certainly worth doing. And then no damage done.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's we've had petitions about this, so it's obviously the view of the parish that we should be looking into it. So I think we at least ought to ask the question.
Yeah.
I think we owe it to those parishioners who've signed that petition
See if we can do that.
I was just going to say, I don't think this piece at the back of here was actually designated as a recreational amenity area
Right.
in the plans when Frame Court submitted everything as a whole. But planning, will they have that, Steve, or because it would be on the side, maybe?
I did try and look into this, I don't know when now, some years ago, and got nowhere. And again, we're talking a bit like the mist of time, because planning, is it on microfilm, isn't it on microfilm? What does that mean? What is the thickness of that pencil line? There's all these questions that were thrown back at me. I can ask again behind it if you wish me to. It's nothing to send an email to get somebody to ask the question.
Well, I know on my plans, it's classed as a building plot still. It was classed for a bungalow. It's just the fact that they built my house further over than they should have done.
So
It's got their
that
access.
top access, yeah.
So then they moved it from the opposite corner across to this side to be
And sold
and sold the other corner off and built two bungalows on the other corner where they should have had the recreation.
Yeah, because the footpaths were incorporated into the gardens on Chestnut, so whatever.
And cherry drivers footpaths at the nowhere.
Which one's the
Well,
one?
next door to Germany, that footpath goes nowhere.
No, because they barricaded it off. The residents didn't want the rat road through the back of the houses, so they just barricaded it off. So it doesn't go away.
Right, we'll move on. Crime prevention, the door locks.
I beg
your pardon, public rights of way.
Sorry. That's basically at the last meeting. Gordon talked through information he had, and you agreed that you would give Gordon Shields time to investigate things down there. And since then, I've got from the land registry the deeds, etc., of land ownership on an area that Gordon Shields wanted to know about, and I passed that to our Gordon to pass on to Gordon Shields. And I don't know whether you've got anything else you wanted.
I told Helen and Peter earlier on. I spoke to Gordon with made a little plan. He's going to he's making this expression of interest for legal money for the scheme to improve the footpaths along the length of the Market Canal. He's had discussions with Andrew Morris, and Steve, we've all seen the letter from Andrew Morris, the recent letter about asking for these deeds. It's a very delicate area. Today I've met with Patrick Warren of Countryside Access. He's told me that they are in negotiations with the landowner down there, Mark. They're measuring it up, they're sorting it out. They don't want us at this moment to get involved because they want to deal with it. It's a delicate issue. They don't want us to barge in like a bull in a china shop, but they do want us to be involved. And Gordon Shields is going to be the person who liaises with them. Because he's out of town, he hasn't got any history with the landowner. So the situation at the moment is that Countryside Access are measuring up and going to negotiate with the landowner to see where the boundaries are, the problems are, and all the rest of it. And that's where we're at the moment. And he asked the parish council to let them get on with it and don't interfere at this time.
That's
I'm
right.
very concerned about this. If we start talking about the land down there, it might inflame a delicate situation.
I agree.
So that's all we have.
Okay, thank you very much. Crime prevention, door locks.
I think I mentioned at the last meeting that there is a crime reduction fund set up by our police commissioner, and I've now made an application to that fund on behalf of what I've called the A163 cluster of parish councils. And if you use words like that, it seems to have an impact, and they look on it more favourably. So I've done it on behalf of ourselves here, Bobwith and Foggerthorpe. And Peter and I had a chat about the rough cost of, and with Ian's quote for the actual door chain, we worked out about £15 or so to actually go along and fit it. And not sure how accurate that is because we haven't got a quote from anybody. So I basically asked for 200 at £15, £3,000 worth, and I've done it on the basis that it would help crime prevention. It would give our vulnerable residents more confidence in answering the door because they've got something to stop people getting in, and they can check them before they allow them in, etc., etc. So we'll wait and see what happens with that.
Thank you very much. Any comments? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pete. Can I also just mention I've spoken to the Humberside Police Crime Reduction Officer, Tracy Rokar, talking about closed-circuit television cameras that Ian brought up a little while ago. And I've talked to Ian about that, and it doesn't look to be a likely thing to progress. But Tracy is very willing to come along to any group in the village and give crime prevention talks on any subject, and she named about 4, 5 or 6 subjects that she could do a presentation on. And it's not just her standing up, she's got a DVD presentation, so it would break up, people would still retain interest in it. So they'd be happy to come to the WI, the Thursday Club, anybody that we feel would be interested. She's happy to try and come to a parish council meeting to list the information that she can do, although she doesn't normally work evenings. She's looking to get involved with a school elsewhere in the East Riding, and so I said I'd put her in touch with Mark Alston here to see whether that might be of interest to Mark. So if you feel that any group you're involved with or any group we know of in the village would benefit from a visit from Tracy, half an hour to 45 minutes, and she can give a good presentation that would hopefully help. Thank you.
Christmas plans.
I've nothing more to report on that, so
Nothing more to report.
I don't know if anybody
What
else.
about the trees?
Well, we're going to look at that, won't we, and then report next time.
Okay.
Can I just ask a question? I wasn't at the last meeting, so I wasn't involved with the discussion about the road closure. Is it possible for us to get anybody to help people backwards and forwards across the road safely? There was a suggestion put forward about the 1 o'clock runs, or can we have a road closure?
We ought to have something like that, but it was discussed, and I've not progressed that, I'm sorry.
Maybe
would be the better option, maybe.
But you aren't allowed to go onto the road and direct traffic and do whatever unless you're official, I don't think. The police. I mean, it's stopped now that the children can't actually follow Santa up the village from the school because they can't walk on the road.
Yeah.
And they were always escorted up the village with the village policemen because you knew there wasn't going to be any fast traffic coming up behind you. It would only shut access off to a handful of houses because they still have access up to the village hall, so we only really need to block it off from the village hall down to the old school.
Yes, but you have to have that, you're blocking the end of 163, so...
Yeah, you'd have to divert it from the shop, wouldn't you? Yeah. But we've done it for years like that. And I know it's a job trying to get round all the houses, but there are about 13 of us on the council, and will be when we get our new member.
Yeah.
And if it was shared between us, it wouldn't be a job. I think Roger's actually been involved with that before.
Yeah, Roger last time.
You've been involved with
No,
Duncan,
not yet. So you're saying to what then? Shut the road so that Santa, people can walk behind Santa there?
Yeah, and be safe on that bit where they're running backwards and forwards between the fairground and the village hall and other things that are happening down the village, the carols singing. I suppose
I think it'd be worth talking to East Reading and seeing if we could use Mrs. Sapco's services, or
Yes, but
he's trained.
he is.
Very professional what he's doing.
If we apply for a road closure, we would have to marshal it anyway. You would need people at the road closure points. Otherwise, people would just drive around the barriers.
We've never actually done that before. Just said road closed, road closed, diversion, then down back lane, out onto our end.
The last time we had a road closure, so I did it a couple of years, or however many, it's a fairly standard procedure to go through. I have to write to all police, fire, ambulance, bus companies, etc. But then, to make it cost effective, we need to fetch all of the road closure signs and erect them ourselves, and then take them down and deliver them back to Market Wheaton. That's something that we did. I think Robert Templey was involved last time, wasn't he?
But things have changed a bit. We have a handyman, we have a trailer, we have a turbo. You know, all these things are in place to maybe get our own people to do that rather than move signs down.
I have no problem with it. How would everyone else say?
I think it's imperative that we get the right diversion, because HG are using things you don't want going down Stanley or wherever if they decide to get off early from there.
Well, the could go in one way, and that's ruining
It would have to
that.
be run around that way.
So is it something we should look at then? Go ahead with?
Would be the safest option.
You've got to propose to close the road down?
I'd like to propose that if there's anybody second.
Anyone second that?
Saying that.
Okay. Those in favour of the road closure for the Christmas events? That's unanimous.
Is that everybody?
Yeah. Okay. Since we had some information again regarding Christmas, regarding the lights, the old lights, and they are run from a main supply. Can we come back to you and say there are mains?
What was talking about Bowser's?
Yes.
Yeah, he said they're fine.
So, if we want some new lights, I've sourced some at about £50 a set. And for £50 you get stupid amounts. 3 sets in the light of the and they plug into each other so we can while we're on lights, I've had a couple of people approach me about the small trees and the flashing lights. Relatives can't come down because the flashing lights don't agree with them. And I just wondered whether we'd all think about that, with the possibility of just setting them to on.
I did say that last year, but not have them all just set on.
I'm sorry, I can't remember that.
No, it's okay. But
I'm
yeah.
sure we will regret this.
I mean, the thing is, they all were flashing at different times.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
chaos on the bridge. And they were ready to set anybody off with a candle fit.
Yeah.
It was hard to get everybody to set their lights to the same
But you
setting.
can't do it.
But if they're all just on, then it would look so much more peaceful in the village. They would just chaotic.
So we'll definitely go for that this year.
Yeah. All right.
I think we'll discuss these lights so that people think we should be wrong.
Well, I'll actually took you talk tonight and put it down and get this one instead. Helen?
Why do we need more lights? What's wrong
We don't, a lot of complaints last year about the old lights look very, very tired. And
I thought we just bought some new sets of lights.
oh, the little trees, I'm talking
Yeah.
about the big tree now.
Oh,
Sorry,
the
we're
big
back to the big tree.
Ah, right, okay.
And people were commenting that market weekends prices hours and colours. And we can't be outdone by weekend, can we, folks? So there are plain blue lights and multicoloured lights, and I say they're all the same price on an offer price, so that I've got all the new lights on.
I know it's been mentioned before that the village hall could do with lights, because it's really grim. You drive through the beautiful village and it looks fabulous, and then the village hall has no lights on it.
Should the village
And I know there was some misunderstanding as to whether we wanted them or we didn't want them, and who said we did and who said we didn't. And I've come in, I know nothing about these lights.
Do you not think the village hall should have their own
Along.
like that, as well as parish council tree one?
Possibly.
So you know,
Yeah.
it's then who's.
I think so.
Could I propose then that,
On the village.
providing my memory is right, and these things are 50 or 50 some pounds per string,
Yeah.
that we get 3 strings.
How many do we need for the tree?
How long is a piece of string? How bright the one's 20-foot tree to
How long is the string of lights?
How long is a piece of string?
No, it's something like, if I said 50 metres now, it's probably 50 foot.
50 foot.
Well, it's plenty there for one tree, isn't there?
Oh yes, three sets would really like the tree.
One for the, well, they one for the tree and 2 for the village hall.
I think the nice one.
You know, if we wanted to go beyond the tree, we would need more.
If perhaps the village hall might wish to buy a couple of
Well,
sets.
that's the other thing is,
What's that, please?
I mean, if the village hall's been, I'll put that to the village hall committee, that we buy lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can do that, that's
And
no
if they're the
problem.
same, then that
Well,
would be
that's
a
it, I think it would, and also, if the parish council could buy them from us, if we did a donation, we might get them about that then, if that's all right.
Okay.
Because then, if we say that they're matching and you've purchased them, we're giving you a donation towards them, because there's no point in the village hall spending 20% extra, if that's all right with the parish council.
All right with me.
Yeah. So I'll take that back to the parish council, to the village hall on the next meeting.
When might that be?
The next meeting is the second Wednesday of next month, which is...
From settlement, is that?
Yeah, we had one last week. 2 weeks ago.
On Christmas tree.
Can we say no more than 200, just in case I'm misreading, it's £58 something.
It's the 8th of October is the next week.
It's in your memory, you know. It's
Very good.
Yeah.
The lights on, but there's no one at home. Whatever the expression is.
So will they get some silver powered ones?
Last year, when we collected them back from the previous Christmas, we couldn't get access to some. So we bought solar powered ones because we couldn't get access into vacant flats. The solar powered ones are about a fifth as bright as the others, and they're really out of place. Really. And on a dull day, you can go back to power. Terrible.
But I think you should get on with it, Mr. Chairman. Sounds to me like you know what you're doing.
Okay.
So, did Helen say £200 authority to buy them? Sorry, you're having a... It's just,
Right, I propose that I spend no more than £200, and it might come out at 150 plus that, but no more than £200 on 3 of these strings of lights. Would anyone like to second that, or would everyone agree with that?
I'll second it as long as the colour, I don't like just like...
Right, we'll go.
I think we need some, I like it.
I agree, yeah.
They're capable of being left off grid when we've got photosensitive epilepsy.
right, and then Bethany will get back to you after their meeting to ask for a couple of sets or whatever,
Yeah.
and you can have those.
Okay.
As well, so.
Can I say that if we're not going to have all the Christmas trees up, the small ones, then there will be spare sets
We-
of
we're
lights that will
hoping
be
that,
used for
yes.
the village hall.
I haven't spoken to Peter yet, who has all the lights. And of course, we may now get access to Hare and Hounds to get there. We'll try again.
I've been 25 times too long, got them back.
Because we don't intend to put trees in every bracket, because they did look a bit crowded, we might have enough lights to maybe also fence.
Yeah, it'd be
Like
nice
a
to
tree,
have
you know,
marking out the shape.
Okay. Local grant fund.
I've not had any suggestions from anybody up with Parish Council in the same boat. They've not had any suggestions, but what they've said is that their equivalent of the village hall should be approached to see if there's anything the village hall need that we could make an application on their behalf. There is £3,000 available, and we should be at least applying for it.
Yes, certainly.
So with your permission, I could speak to the chairman of the village hall and see.
Right. There's absolutely nothing.
Does that make sense?
Things we need, of course.
There's nothing else that anybody's come up with.
No, if the money's out there, we need to get okay.
We'll have a chat. We can fiddle. We can. Christmas lights wouldn't work. No, I don't think.
Fire alarms?
No. Oh, actually. Anyway, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Trolley for
Yeah,
chairs.
trolley.
Okay.
We've got a chair trolley.
So we're going to move on now. Move away from the village hall, please. Other grant applications. Okay.
The village hall. Said you were. No, the claim form for the village hall chairs for last year has now been made. £1,350. That'll be in the post tomorrow. Pete signed that this evening. And Bethany is giving me a cheque at some point on the village hall. So it won't cost the parish council any money for the village hall, for the chairs that were bought, and the village hall are getting them for half price or less or
Or
whatever.
half price less VAT.
Yeah.
So,
And the rent application for the next lot of village hall chairs has been put in, as has the rent application for the World War I memorial, which is for all conflicts. I've had that sort of asked of me a few times. But you, the Parish Council, need to confirm that if both of those grant applications are approved, that you're happy to meet the 11% that you need to pay up front to rent before they give you the grant.
Is everyone happy?
That hasn't formally been done yet.
No. How does everyone feel about it?
Necessity.
11% is a small price. If we can get £8,000.
How much is the memorial grant applications for?
It's 8,500 we've put in for, so 11% would be 850 to £1,000. I haven't got the exact figure, but of the order.
We should just have a look at that at some time, if I could. Is it possible to have a look at that application? Or is it?
For the future, or for just looking at it?
No, just to see what it consists of.
Yeah, sorry, the reason I ask is you can't use REN in the future because Gallimore now...
Oh, no, just to see what it was.
Yeah, of course.
Curious
Yeah.
to see what
Yeah,
we're
of course.
getting.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it.
Well, I'll leave that out and I'll show you at the end of the meeting.
we took you sent out a thing, sort of a petition. For,
Yeah.
We took it to the Heritage Day, didn't we?
Got quite a few signatures on it. So, we're still working on it. So,
There are a number around it in various establishments in the village.
we'll take it to the history.
Okay.
And that's some opposition to us, yeah.
Yes, I
There
suppose.
is opposition to it.
Yeah.
Would you just explain, Mr. Chairman, about the future conflicts and not just the First and Second World War?
Yeah, I mean, if anyone knows of anyone that from the village that was killed in the Korean War, or any conflict since, then certainly the names can be added. We're not trying to take anything away from the original memorial of the Lich Gate, but you know, speaking to people, when that memorial was erected, the majority of people in the village would go to church regularly. People don't bother now, don't do it. And it is a little bit out of the way. and for some people it's really impossible to get to. And we just felt that one a memorial in the village that was accessible to everyone, especially people that were in or didn't have the transport to get up there, it would just benefit the village a lot better, or benefit the residents of the village. I appreciate that there are people that feel we don't need it, but I'm just thinking about the wider implications of people that can't get up that hill if they wish to pay their respects. So, that was my reason.
Can I just add something to that? We've actually got, there are 39 names on the war memorial up the hill.
Yeah.
But the history group, through their research that they've been doing with the First World War, have found another 3 people that aren't actually on the war memorial.
Right.
So, maybe that's an instance where, they've been missed off, things could be put right.
And I know there was an awful lot found out about people from the parish and local area, so we could speak to everyone before it was actually etched in stone, so to speak, if we get the ground.
Yeah.
Can I just ask it, the land that it's going to be on is actually being leased, isn't it? Is that correct?
We will lease it if we get the grant.
Yeah. How long would that lease be for? Is it a 100-year lease?
It would be a long-term lease. The East Riding, via the housing manager, I think she is,
Yes.
that we spoke to some while ago, very happy to lease certainly a small amount of land. The short answer is I don't know. That's something that we need to negotiate with them. If I could, a couple of things on the reason it keeps getting called World War I, and I keep saying that, is that is a handle that we can hang grant applications on at the moment because it's the 100-year anniversary and so on, and people recognise that. The information I sent out did say worst effect all conflicts, and people, I had a couple of 3 emails from people saying that that they wouldn't support it if it wasn't for all wars, and they'd missed that, so obviously I didn't make it all that clear. The reason I sent out that information, that was in response to a site visit that Pete and myself had with Ren, their grant funding manager, and she made suggestions, and that was one of them. I had another concern expressed to me by a resident that the information I sent out was just to say yes, we support it. It didn't give the opportunity for people to admit no, we don't. And that's something I hold my hand up. I should have done that, of course. And I guess at the end of it, we try and find out a negative. And instead there is negativity to it, how many people compared to how many pluses. But there's no reason why, if we get the grant, which won't be until the end of November, in the December edition of the Grapevine, we can do an article on it and give people the full information, because obviously everything will be aware of at that point, and invite opposition as well as support, sort of thing. Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. The Village Hall Playground.
We were talking about having an informal meeting.
We still need to arrange an informal meeting, don't we? The car park, the Village Hall is happy, as long as it's understood and not promoted as a public car park, which it isn't. It's the Village Hall car park.
Yeah.
We're happy for the village to use it. That's brilliant, wonderful. We support that wholeheartedly. But it isn't a public car park, and that difference just, wants to be known about. But the play corner, we'd still very much like for the parish council to look at taking that on and, helping us out there.
Okay, so we need to look at
A meeting, so we need to.
Bethany did suggest the 24th, which is a Wednesday of September, just to have an informal meeting between Village Hall and Parish Council, just to talk it through, and then that could make recommendations to the Village Hall Committee and the Parish Council for the two sides to, that was in essence what you and Pat were saying, and Karen. Would you like me to arrange that?
if everyone, if enough councillors can make the 24th. What time?
Well, 7:30. What we were thinking was that the WI's on the first Wednesday, Village Hall second Wednesday, us third Wednesday, so the fourth Wednesday is sort of the day. You can't really plan anything for your Wednesdays because so many of them are taken out in the month. We thought it might be a day that a lot of people would be therefore free.
Okay.
So,
24th.
Of
September. 7 or 7:30, whichever suits.
Right.
So 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shall I send out? I'll send out an email to everybody
Yeah.
to confirm that, and then obviously Bethany can book the committee room or whatever.
Yeah, that's no problem. We
Yeah.
use the hall.
Okay.
Food problems.
I sent out a reply email to problems that happened at Runner End. Basically, the highways at the East Riding said unfortunately the parish or a member public would not have the authority to close a public road, and he suggests maybe cars might be parked in a position to prevent speeding as a more effective solution and wait until the police can arrive to close the road officially. So can't really get anywhere with that.
Right. Institution for the new weekend.
Just to record that.
Yes. Helen, you went on the Catholic Council.
I did, and I went to the shook hand and I welcomed him to our parish on behalf of the council.
Good.
Very formal.
Here.
Yes. Good service.
Thank you.
That's a good one. Very
Right, now we'll move on to planning applications. First one is construction of new vehicular access and internal access road and widening of public highway near Rotherham Masonry Limited on the airfield. Has everyone had a chance to look at the plans? At the application and plan? Any comments? Oh, Helen?
I went on the public access website and printed off the highway recommendations. Shall we do that? Constructing the proposed vehicular access on Skiff Lane, as indicated on the submitted details, will entail widening works on the lane to accommodate two-way movement of vehicles. Somebody know where? Usually knows where that is. The widening works running from the existing vehicular access to the proposed access location. A shortfall in the approach visibility display, looking right at the proposed access location, is apparent. 215 metres is required for Skiff Lane at a 60 mph speed limit imposes, and approximately 130 metres is achievable. That said, the bend located approximately 130 metres from the proposed vehicular access slows vehicles down, and with the lane being very light in traffic, these factors will mitigate to some extent the shortfall in approach visibility. Where Tollingham Farms opposite, Rotherham's are here, the road narrows to one car width as it passes the industrial estate, and then there's a bend, which is actually that's what we're talking about, so you can't see what's coming. What they're saying is they're going to extend the road width to just before the bend, so it's going to be 2 car widths wide, and then suddenly narrow off just before the bend. It says it would be far better, however, to have the proposed access constructed within the site, together with the internal access roads, as this would remove the requirement to improve the lane, which at present being 3 metres wide, naturally copes with the traffic volume and generally keeps vehicle speeds down, because there's lack of possibilities. Whereas once widened, it will permit greater vehicle speeds, because there will be two-way usage, to the detriment of other lane users. And then it says, why is new access required on Skiff Lane? That was from the East Riding Highways Department.
So that's their comments on the...
That's their comments on the application. He's saying, why do they need to widen the road and make another way in? Why do they need another access? They think it will be a detriment to people using the road past there.
Right.
And I also had concerns from the farmers who live opposite as well. It's opposite, they've got a house driveway and a farm entrance and exit, and this road, new road access, is going to be in between of those two. So, they're saying that It's going to be a fair to traffic coming in, or if there's people speeding, it's right across the front of their town. So I think they're a bit concerned about it.
Right.
There's some deep dikes there as well outside Tolling, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are doing. Is this to make a goods entrance for the wagons
By
that
nature,
go
you
around?
assume that it would be HGVs because it's a commercial proposition. I'm rather alarmed by the amount of trees that are going to be removed.
Well, it's
for
a-
that.
They are planting trees.
Yeah.
There is an oak tree that they said they would leave.
I don't suppose being a rural location is any preservation of them anyway.
No,
And I'm sure someone would be happy to wear.
it was just the oak tree that they said they would leave because it was obviously there for industrial status. The rest of the stream, old line, Thompson.
Okay.
Is the other entrance into Rotherham by the Rotherham, is that actually going to be closed off, or is it still there for customers going into the shop?
As far as I can see, there was just a new access. It
runs around the back of the
yeah. Instead of going into the industrial estate and to the end of Rotherham's block, and putting a road in there somewhere maybe, they'll just come round the front and then in the back. But they've got sort of two roadways off as well as the compound, so it's like they're going to extend. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It was just the widening of the road, I think, that the highways man was worried about.
So then the highways would be a lot happier if they didn't widen the road.
Yeah, well, that's the way I did it.
I suppose the problem with the bend of the widen, they would probably jump at that, not widening. So, any other comments?
You would expect industrial estate, the major roads that enter the industrial estate would serve the whole of the industrial estate. That would be my expectation, to another new road into the industrial estate.
It's not into the industrial estate, it's only into
Oh, well, yes, into an industrial estate that is on there, yes, quite completely. But that was it surprised me that they went to do it.
I'm not privy to why they need it. We can only comment. So what are the comments then?
Just taking notice of what the highways consultation response was, and
I think if highways are saying that it's a safety issue, then they are the experts when it comes to this stuff, really. And we should follow their advice, not follow their lead.
Well, yes, we can certainly say that. They're the experts, we are. But can we actually comment on something that highways will
You can
not?
say what you will. You need to say to the planning officer that you support it, you object to it, or that you have no strong feelings either way on it,
Right.
essentially.
Okay. So, do we support it? Okay.
The planning will need modification, wouldn't it, before we can support that, if we're going along with the highways agency.
Do you think we should object to any access then?
I think we should.
Well, I think there's plenty of room on the airfield itself without making any difference.
We wouldn't want to. Rutland is a good business. And
Oh, yeah.
Support that, wouldn't we?
I mean, they may have plans for expansion.
But they have, haven't they? Yeah.
And leave the road in at the point where they're looking to apply.
but could we say no comment, well, not support, not support, what's the other one?
No comments, basically.
No comment. Well, no comment, just we've taken on board what the highways said about the widening of the road and that, like.
You could also say that if you could recommend that if approved, conditions should be opposed, or you could say if approved, the highways comment should be strongly investigated or something. So that's a sort of, without making a formal yes or no comment.
Yeah.
If you
We could say we would prefer the road to go through the existing exit.
Yeah.
I mean, we could say that, so that there's no new big entrances into the industrial estate.
Yeah.
Is that feasible to say that?
Yeah. I presume so.
So you're not making any formal yes or no recommendations, you're just saying that
Just
if approved, the comments made by Highways should be strongly investigated, and the parish council feel that new access perhaps isn't needed, or was that effect?
Will be more advisable on
on
site than the new entrance
Where's that effect?
Okay.
Okay.
There is actually a network of roads running round here, and you can see them dotting, that come off that main drive. As you drive past the Warman Mine,
Yeah.
and then there's a storeroom of Rotherham's. There's a road that goes round the back of those. There's little roads in and out of here, isn't there? All round.
There was quite a few roads in there.
Yeah, there's a red one there coming round. It's just coming so far, but it's dot right up to this other road that goes straight into the airfield. You want to have a look?
It does.
Surely that could be extended.
I mean,
I looked at.
That's what the highways asking, why is it not just carried out? So
Yeah, I think we should just comment that we would like to agree with the Highways comment, basically. Because they're commenting that we don't see a reason why we should have a new road. But we are, as I said, we're not really privy to why Florence feel needed.
Could it go to committee, or wouldn't that be beneficial if we've got concerns about it? So, coming down onto that road. Victoria?
I'm happy to call it in if you like me to. That's it's something that we feel that you would like the committee to look at. We'll have to be quite focused about, so that I can then state the case to the committee. Yeah, I think I'd quite like you to formulate.
We don't seem to be able to.
No, we've just got a bit of. I think if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but the way I'm hearing it is that you don't really feel comfortable about not supporting it because it's a good business, and you need, obviously we need growth in businesses in the area, but at the same time you're not quite sure that you can't understand yet why he's wanting that access when you think you can see other things on the plan.
Yep.
So I'm probably on, my gut feel is probably to go along with the comment of that you like the highways, the parish council as the highways question, you don't understand the need for this particular entrance, and that you do have concerns about speeding the traffic up by widening the road, because obviously we all understand that by keeping the roads narrow and difficult, it does, without question, keep the traffic slower. I'm happy to, that's, I see myself as your voice, really, on a planning issue, if that's what you...
I think someone said about tree removal, didn't they, as well?
Yeah, but they're doubling them up, aren't they? Are we looking at not removing trees at the cost of preventing somebody growing? I think I personally certainly would like to do it. As long as we are getting some replacements in.
But going on from that, where would it lead to? Then Hawks might want to access onto the road.
Yeah,
Right.
Onto the
A
road.
lot of access.
Well, that's got to be looked at as a separate issue.
Yeah,
We're not
yeah.
looking at this one either. We don't want to get too wide.
There are articulated wagons that are able to turn into towing up because of the, I know they go to pick pigs up and things. So there is room actually, for wagons to go out there. So it just makes you wonder how big these vehicles are going to be and are they going to be suitable for travelling up down there anyway? If they're wanting a big wide
A
entrance.
size limit on
There is a size limit, 44 feet.
Yeah. So as far as we can go, really. If there is a site on Waggies that getting one plan, yes, we should be able to get the other, with the entrance. But would we be happy then for Victoria to go and just mention our concerns?
No, I don't, sorry, I haven't even got strong enough concerns about it. We can't come up with anything concrete or anything that we definitely want to put forward, so I think that's... And the last time we discussed the access and turned it down, you got facts.
Yeah.
So, as per usual, we sat here discussing planning applications, which really is out of our hands.
The only thing with this one is we have the backing, or we have the proposal from the Highways Agency to back up what we're saying, that there are safety issues, and
Yeah.
so that's the only difference with this one.
So we just need to make the comment that we agree with
Yes, that's a good comment, yeah.
Thank you very much. Right.
Just for information, it's not being pedantic here, and it's not the Highways Agency, it's actually the East Riding Council Highways Department, so it's a different, it's the same council as the planners, so they do talk.
Can I just say, if you as private councillors glean the information as to why, and you want me to, something else, you find more information out, because I have a feeling that you perhaps haven't got all the information that you would quite like to formulate your decision. You can always get hold of me, and I can call it in virtually up to the fairly, up to the stage before really.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. One more plan application, and the erection of a single-storey extension to the side of 1 Chestnut Crescent, almost following more. Comments?
Thank you.
No? No issues?
No issues, no objections.
Okay. So there's a support for the new comments?
Yes, I think this is a slow.
Could I just also mention that 2 planning applications arrived this morning. One for Garrick Farm, Howden Road for Middlebrook, an erection of 12 mushroom houses, etc. And the other one is for erection of brick pillars and wrought iron gates, and again access at Sweetwood Lodge, Howden Road. And in both cases I've asked that they could be considered at the next parish council meeting. And I would think certainly the mushroom one tends to take longer, because that's quite a strategic application, so they tend to take longer. And if I'm told that no, you have to make a decision before the next meeting in October, then we'll need to call a special meeting for that.
Okay. Planning decisions as advised. After.
Just before you move on, just a thought. I actually know the applicants for the mushroom farm, so maybe if you do have any queries with that, it might be. I have a non-pecuniary interest, maybe. So it may be worthwhile for one of the others to actually speak if you do need something on that.
Okay.
I know tomorrow.
So the erection of a 2-storey extension to the side and a single-storey extension to the rear at Linwood House, 21 Station Lane, that was granted. And the erection of a dwelling following demolition of existing building at the land north of 12 Brummer End was refused. So, accounts.
Yeah. Excuse me, sorry. The cheque for Peter Wiles is actually £425.61, which includes £107 of expenses. There's a cheque for Steve Deere, the cheque for the clerk, and the cheque for the audit. As well as that, since I'd noticed from the payroll man that we need to pay the tax and national insurance on the 3 employees' salaries of £1,040.48p, and that's for the second quarter. There's the £300 Home Rovers FC grant, and there's Andrew Rhodes digger for the day of £78, which I'd actually been in 2 cheques because I understood it was £60. So I did that before the meeting, and I've now got the proper invoice. So I've written a second cheque for £18. And then we've had from the Methodist Church an invoice for use of this room for the last year, and that comes to 40 hours at £10 an hour is £400. So those are the ones that need approval, please. If people are happy with it.
Is everyone happy with all those?
Yes.
Indeed.
Could I just mention about the audit, please, that has come back. As I said there were two comments, but no concerns. I've been through this with Pete. He's very happy that it is okay, and that the comments and the concerns are the comments are not concerns, and they just relate to, if you remember last year, the precept, you asked for 29,000 and they gave a bit more on top of that, and this was actually a grant. It wasn't an increase in precept, and I called it an increase in precept, so that needs correcting for the next time. And the other thing that they comment on is that the value of the assets held I've marked down with sort of inflation, and they say depreciation, sorry, not inflation, and they say that we don't need to do that. So those are the only comments. And if anybody needs to see this or would like to see this, obviously very welcome.
You know.
Can I just ask a question? I noticed 32p bank interest, and having done this before, with Home Start, we changed banks and went from like 17, 20p interest up to £140 bank interest. So have we thought about...
In today's climate?
Ian, have we
Please
thought
do.
about investigating other... I don't know who we bank with, whether we bank with the East Riding or whether we would bank with a bank we can change, but it's just worth the thought that some banks charge and some banks pay interest and some banks, you know, we've got reasonably sizable amounts in the bank accounts, so you might be able to get interest.
Please talk to me when we talk about other things. Yeah, I'll obviously look at that. Thank you.
Newsletter, copy it.
I sent out information on an email the last few days. I think it explains everything that you probably need to make a decision. Pete and I spent a long time talking through it, and I've shown him all the figures and the information. And essentially, the current supplier, for whatever reason, we've obviously fallen down a crack with them. And they've not given us any quote. They don't seem at all interested in talking to us. But Xerox have quoted, and the figures there show that their copy cost prices are about half of the existing prices. So that's obviously a major bonus. The 5-year lease is £12 a quarter cheaper. So it's not rocket science. Obviously we should go with them. The machine, I've seen pictures, I've got dimensions, sizes and speeds, and it's essentially the same as the one that we use at the moment. The only thing, again, I'll point out, if I may, to the Parish Council, is that it's a decent sized machine. I'm very happy to have it. If you take out a 5-year lease, I'm not guaranteeing that I'll be around in 5 years as your clerk. Obviously things change. But to do the job we want with the grapevine, etc., then it's common sense to go with it, really. And I think we came to that conclusion, but does that like to be, if anybody has any questions?
Does anybody feel very strongly against what's just been said? It makes real sense. Each edition, each copy of the grapevine will be half the present cost. And actually moving into the black next year would be positive.
The only thing I'm surprised at, they want you to pay to take the other one away.
Yeah, this is, I think if we kept with the same supplier as we've got currently, that would happen for nothing. But because I think that would happen to nothing. But obviously I can't ask the current suppliers because they just seem to refuse to get back to
It would seem to me if you said to them, let's see, if you come and get it,
They'll do that, but they'll charge us £400.
Is that written into the contract?
It apparently is. I haven't looked at the small print yet. I will, obviously. But,
Okay.
I've suggested to the clerk that £400 does seem a lot,
Yeah.
and we have a trailer now. we could wrap it up almost in cotton wool, put it on the trailer, and I could drive it down to where it needs to go. At a lot less cost, at the fuel cost. But we'll see. Right, the Home Heritage Project. A report on Heritage Day, please.
Well, a lot of people in this room were there.
Yep.
And if we get Neil and Carol, they'll write a really good report about it in Great Level. It's a very happy day. Everybody exhibited very nicely, and I got a lot of good interest. And from our stand, we filled in forms. We asked people their view of what they wanted us to do next, and we made notes of their comments. And we've got these comments. We are going to look at them. We're going to have a little meeting. We're going to then use that to say where we go next in our project, which will be roughly along the lines we thought we were going to go next. But I thought it was a very nice day. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it's interesting to get to. I mean, we must have spoken to everybody who was there, I think, Becky. Everybody had a good old chat.
It seemed very good.
So we got to the bottom of things, I think. Anybody else want to say?
Yeah, they didn't drift in and out, did they? They were there for a long time.
Yeah.
And there was plenty for them to see.
Yep.
You had a wonderful display. It was really colourful.
It was all good, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. And they were really interested in projects that the history group have got planned, for the future, and what information they'd already collated. It was really good. Now the dairies, thank you very much, sent some stuff, and the school did, and we had the Doomsday book there as well, so thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Well, we now can go on and use that day as evidence of consultation. When we prepare our next bid for example, panoramic boards on the hill and those other things. When we make our plans.
I think that one is definitely.
Yeah.
Excellent idea.
Do you know, the Heritage Day, does it have to be on Saturday?
No, it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think.
I just wondered, because the church was open on the Sunday, next year could we have both on the same day? Just Saturday was a bit of
I didn't determine
No, I just didn't know if you knew. I just wondered if it could happen, but Sunday seems to be the day when people are puttering around at home, and if they go up the hill, they might just come into the village all the same. I mean, we had to open for the door, but we could have had a lot more, couldn't we?
Yeah, and people got in there early, didn't they?
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
Yeah, they
were all in there when I was sitting.
Yeah.
It's me that registers the event, but with the Heritage Open Days website. It's me that gets all the stuff through, so it doesn't matter to us particularly which day we're open.
Especially with the football being on the back of the car park.
The car park was full. We lost a lot of people because they obviously tried to come, couldn't park, and went off again. So, yeah, we can go for the Sunday next time if people would rather.
I just thought it would be nice to accumulate everybody in the village on the same day for two reasons. And, I mean, I know there's a Sunday league, isn't there? But
there's church that could. Be a problem if people are wanting to be at church till 12.
I mean, the church was open 2 till 5, wasn't it? So, I mean,
I think that's a good point now, is to get, if you do get people there, you make it easy for them, and there's actually, not only have you got this, but Sarah, you thought about going on the hill, you can say that, and then go on to the hill, can't we, rather than leaving it another day.
When we did it before the dairy was open, for your anniversary, and so we signposted people onto the dairy, and the dairy signposted people back to us, because we weren't competing, we were just happened to both be at the same time. But it doesn't really make much difference. I'll be asked to fill in forms May next year, so we need to make a decision. But the village,
maybe we should just have a little talk before you do the forms.
The village hall hosts the event. And it's an open building of the village hall being open. So, and then, history and heritage and what have you are invited to attend. But I can fill in the forms whatever way. It doesn't make that much difference
No.
to me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Conservation issues. We respond.
Well, Peter and I spent the day there last Friday, and Peter did a wonderful job on the mini digger. He didn't tip it over or anything. We dug the trench up until we got to the tree, and we had to stop because of the tree roots. We were just going to go back with this axe on Friday and chop through them. We had a very kind builder with a big old light turned up, and he made sure we had a proper fall on it and all that thing. And he's also going to give us a bit of 12-inch proper drain pipe to put in the gateway, and then we'll fill in so we've got proper driving access. And then Peter's had all sorts of wonderful plans for this trench, but I said to him, let's just see how we go with it as it is for now. So we're going to keep an eye on it as the rain comes and see what needs tweaking basically. But yeah, it was stopping. It's great. I found some bits of pottery and it was very exciting.
Fancy.
Yeah.
Which builder assisted?
Mike Wright.
We're both thanking for your efforts.
No, can I just say something? That today we were talking at the road access forum of this business about grass verge access. And I'll get some details on this, but there's quite a thought about putting mowing directly at the side of a roadside hedge to create a path. So it's directly at the side of the hedge, as far away from the road as possible. So I don't know whether or not we should look at that, but to see if that's a thought, whether or not access could be gained by walking down, tight up to that edge, down from Stockshill down, on down to Weir's Pond. But I do know there is the Local Access Forum has an initiative on this very issue, that is grass verge access, and I just think that it's such a shame that place is landlocked. I think we should have a bit more of a look at that.
There is a section of that grass verge that isn't very wide, and then also there's the big Helm's Bollymoor sign as well.
Yes.
So.
But I just think something that we should certainly have a look at. If it's no, we're outside.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Bimmel from Conservation Volunteers.
Helen and myself were going to sit and talk with your good self, and maybe Gordon, if he's available, to look at that, and we haven't had a chance yet. Really. And the same with Sandhold, we need to go down and have a meeting with 3 residents who have had concerns.
Yeah. Okay. Level 1 memorial events. It's ongoing for the actual memorial, but I have the necessary equipment to make a garden remembrance specifically for World War I, but come remembrance in November, if anybody wants to plant a poppy cross, as we will be doing for each of the fallen from the First War, hopefully with the school, then it's open for that use as well. And I will have this in place for tomorrow, because the first of our fallen died on the 19th of September 1914. So I'm now got a mission, or half a day anyway. So that's where we are.
We've got tomorrow, you said. What's the reason?
Making this 66 garden remembrance. John Murray's offered to help. But if you mind.
Well, I just thought you've got time limit on it.
It's not massive. It's not a massive job.
Okay.
It really won't take too long.
6 foot or 6 foot, not
Yeah.
6 metres.
Sorry, 6 foot to 6 foot. I work in all measurements. It's just these edging stones, square edging stones, just to mark it out. I will, before the second one, I will have to go backwards as well. And so far it's past the council 28 with into these things. Sorry, I'm a spendthrift on that one. I'm on next, Village in Road. Right, as you will have noticed, as you wander around the village, all the beds are still in pretty good order. And they should last for another 3 or 4 weeks. And then we're going to take everything out and replant for the winter. You may not know that there was a small amount of damage done to 2 of the beds either side of Chapel Fields a couple of days ago. It's very disappointing, but these things happen, but we're looking into it. Over winter, we intend now to do the 2 76 squadron beds either side of the entrance to help me out. Medfield. No, on Alden Road.
Backland Corner.
No, the next one. Oh, never mind. You'll see when they're there.
Alden Road.
Yeah. Also, we're going to make a couple of large planters for the grass areas outside of the school. We're now departing near the Angry Road, but it's been a busy year. We'll definitely be asking for volunteers when we do the 2 beds on Howden Road for the Squadron Memorial. Because there's going to be a fair amount of soil to ship to actually build and bank the beds up so they're visible from both directions on the road. So we'll be asking for big volunteers again.
I can fetch one with me as well.
Oh, excellent.
He doesn't know it yet.
So right, that's where we are then. Everything at the moment is looking good. So we'll move on to reports. Alan.
I've been requested to report antisocial behaviour in the play park at the village hall. This was on Sunday night. A youth there with some girls throwing rubbish and kicking the bins. Then on Monday night, the same youth was seen vandalising the flowers you just mentioned. A resident tried to tackle the youth about his behaviour. The resident was subject to verbal abuse from the youth, and the youth told the resident not to try and tackle him about his behaviour again. I don't know if this was a threat or what. Apparently the youth was a big lad, thick set with brown hair. The resident thought he knew who the youth's father was, but wasn't 100% sure. The incident has been reported to the police, but if anyone knows any more or this youth spotted again, obviously the police still know has been informed of that.
Okay.
Just keep that. That was the fact that he threatened in a fashion.
Yeah.
What date was it done at the village hall? Might look on CCTV if I've got it.
Sunday night.
Sunday night, it was,
Yeah.
right, okay.
And then it was
Do you know
next
what-
night.
Do you know what time?
No. But,
Sunday night at school.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll have a look.
No idea what time.
No idea what time. No.
Is that one?
Yes.
Good attention.
That's it, thank you.
Yeah, right, please. Sorry, Roland, don't you mentioned it. I got a telephone call last night from somebody representing a resident of Drain Lane and Bercy Lane complaining about excessive noise from Rascal Wood on the dates of the 30th of August, the 5th of September and the 6th of September. Loud music playing and they could hear the music over their TV at night. That's
Right. Louise? Thank you.
Does we know that when I first going markings on the pavement for optical receivers and things like that, has anything been said or anything been more come of that? I know there was a resident in Hawthorne Drive who said that he'd spoken to somebody about having children to put a mask up or something.
Do I know about this? I'm sorry.
You sent it
I sent the email. I do know about it.
I just did wonder if there's anything else about broadband or anything else in the village and that
Sorry.
sort of thing?
Yeah, well, no, I haven't heard anything, sorry.
Because
It
there's
was-
been lots of markings going on
yeah.
around the village, and I know there's one outside the dairy and things like that, and I've been asked if the village does get fibre optic broadband and things like that, then the dairy would like to know.
No, at the community partnership meetings, I saw a programme of the early rollout, and I didn't think we were on the list. I thought it missed Home and Spalding Moor, thought it got Budworth.
Always been up there.
But it's not, I thought Home and Spalding Moor wasn't. Now, it surrounded Howden but didn't do Howden, and there was various other bits, the bits that I saw. But then they were doing work outside that bit of grass by the school, well, by the shop, by McColl's on Runner End. And that had on BT bringing faster broadband to your area. So I don't know, but my understanding...
I don't know, because I wasn't at community, I was away from the community partnership this time, but I was actually looking on BT website myself, and I thought I'd seen Home and Spalding Moor, but maybe not in the September, October one, maybe in the December, January one, in which case they may well be starting the process. But I can't read the website address, but it's on the BT site, and if you start sort of googling and doing, I think you'll find it. And it gives you suddenly get this, well, it's a bit like an Excel spreadsheet, and it goes for miles. And I kept just going through looking for any of my Howdenshire villages, and I'm sure, I'm fairly certain that I did see Home and Spalding Moor on. So I think you might be December, January time that they're aiming for, but I don't know how accurate those dates are, but at least it means that they're doing something.
The meeting I saw it at was March or something, so it was right at the beginning of the process. So it might have been that they kind of went, oh, we'll do Home because it's easy for...
I just know because our dairy supplier of our website and that sort of thing was quoted hundreds of thousands of pounds, things like that, because we decided to upgrade within the site, but to actually get broadband, private broadband sites, the quoting is from like Newing, right through to there. We'd have to supply our own, that sort of thing.
Yeah. That's huge though, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a huge amount of cost. But they were saying if it's actually going to come to the village, and if we knew who was going to be doing this and that sort of thing,
then you might be able to jump to it, piggyback on it.
I'll find you a number. I have a number.
Have you got it there? I can say, because there is a chap at County Hall that came, that's right, that will probably be able to be a lot more technically with than I certainly could, but he might be able to put you in touch with the right people so that at least as a commercial enterprise you can show an interest at the right time.
I've seen a lot of people who know all these things.
Yeah.
I said I'd ask.
Well, it's getting the brains to work together, isn't it? Yeah.
I think the information I sent out was from Steve Hurdle, because you asked me a question and I got that response, and the extra street lights, no, not street, there's something extra put in.
But it's like an OR, which is like not to receiver, it's like around this or something.
Right.
And then, but there's other bits that have got a lot more writing than what we need to.
But that wasn't for broadband, it was for something else he said, didn't it? But broadband, then I thought he went on to say something about broadband.
Yeah.
I'll double check and I'll send it back to you, but Steve Handley is a man.
Like I said, he's trying to be as helpful as he can, isn't he? You know, so obviously with limited... yeah. Was it him that came to the community partnership? Yeah. We're getting a lot of questions right across the board.
Mike Wilder rang me last week, the week before. He said 2 tyres slashed again internally. I know there's only any way to do about it, but I think he would like it to be known.
Yeah. Would you want to inform the council about the email you sent me this afternoon?
Well, I thought you
I didn't want to blow me on trumpet.
I had a very nice email sent to me by a resident, Bernard Huger actually, and he said how nice it was to see the village green. What does it say, Peter?
Most of the village in general, but the green in particular.
The village green, looking so nice with the hanging baskets and the flower beds, the heritage board too.
Yep.
And he said the village looked really very nice. And So I sent it on to Peter because I thought Peter deserved some credit for it. And what a nice comment.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I said someone should say to Peter, well done, Peter, because for what's been done, it's starting to look good, isn't it? Starting to weigh in. Well done.
Ian?
No, not really great significance, just the usual potholes, dog poo, never get any further.
Well, that's right. Yeah. Well, we need a dog warden, we need a voluntary dog warden involved, don't we?
No, nothing to do.
I've got a few things. Firstly, I've had a report that somebody's erected an 8-foot satellite dish, and what did that need planning permission? So I've had that queried. It's on, I don't know whether it's actually Howden Road that it's on. It's on the bit behind Howden Road on Moor End. So it's on one of those houses, and there's been an 8-foot stuff. And it's her neighbour that's the neighbour that's raised it to me and said, look, did they not need planning permission? Because nothing was ever said.
So is it, it's not Howden Road, is it the Moor End access road?
It's one of those ones that sort of looks out onto, and did they need planning permission was the question that needed to be asked. Now, I didn't know, and I don't know how to find out, so. Secondly, I've asked Emily to put in the grapevine. We've had lots and lots of incidents at the village hall of things being damaged. So we buy new smoking bins, they get kicked up to pieces, and then they become a health hazard, so we have to take them down. Post box is the same, and we're just having sort of string of incidents. And what we've done in the past is just sort of write it off and say, well, there's nothing we can do. So we've just bought new ones. We've decided now that enough is enough, so I've asked to put in the grapevine. We will now be calling the police every time we have an incident of vandalism at the village hall. If there's an accident, if somebody, sort of accidentally slams something into it, as long as they let me know, I don't, we understand accidents happen. We're not trying to be, we're not trying to be draconic about this, but if people are deliberately damaging village hall property, we need to be reporting it. So that's what we're going to be doing. So just to let you know that this is a new thing. We're trying to sort of warn people, but we can't keep doing this. I know it's only 20 quid, 25 quid here and there, but that's it. That's a kind of a coffee morning at the tabletop. That's what we take. If we did the coffees at the tabletop, and we can't keep doing that. It's not fair on the volunteers who are raising the money or anything. Yeah.
Can I suggest that you actually straight away contact the police? So at least the service or whoever is at all in the area, then they can do a bit of a detour around and be seen to be allowed, particularly on the back of the previous comment.
Absolutely. And then the third thing, nicely, the library service have commissioned a play from John Godper. It's called Who Cares, and it's about end-of-life care. And they're putting it on in various libraries throughout the whole of the East Riding. Market Wheaton and Gould are nearby ones. But the person from the mobile library said, well, we never get to do this. Why can't we do it? So they've agreed that they're putting it on in the village hall on the 11th of October. It will be starting, I think, at 3:30, and it will be £2 each to get in. So it's, for nothing really. 60 people only, so it's quite intimate. It's going to be in the round. It's not going to be on the stage. They don't want it on the stage. They want it in. I don't know whether it's fully in the round or whether it's sort of partly in the round or what, but, to be on the floor of the village hall. But if this goes well, it looks like the library service want to do more in the village. Things like the summer reading scheme that's done at libraries throughout the East Riding, throughout the country, in fact. They're hoping to do that at Home Spalding Law this time. So, it would be great if people would support this, because we're the biggest, apparently we're the most used mobile library, and we want to be celebrating that. This guy's really enthusiastic. He really, really wants to do lots. And if we can get him doing it lots in our village, it's got to be of benefit to everybody in the village. So, 11th of October, 3:30. It should be good.
Thank you. Matt?
Only potholes down Showbill Drive and House Shores, it's getting a lot worse, we're getting deeper.
Right.
So,
Would you send me pictures of those, please?
yeah.
There's some lavender bushes outside the John Hungers on Back Lane. I've not been to see them, but apparently if you're passing it and you're in a wheelchair, they're frightened about the bees that have been complicated.
Right.
They don't want to get stuck. So, you know, we could maybe just have a quiet word with them.
Sorry.
What about on that then?
It's on back lane. It's the Don Cumberlands as you come round the corner from Spring End, and then on the left hand side opposite Silver Hill.
Can you get me? You want me to write to the people?
Well, I just have to go and have a look and see who has the lavender bushes. I can ring you.
Would you?
Yeah. I just want to know when Peter's going to cut the grass down and go and do the flowers on the airfield. Because if
I
it
did
burns
take
it,
two
I don't
days
want to
ago.
do the flowers.
We said we'd do it on Friday morning.
Okay, Saturday. And just to remind everybody that the 76 Squadron are down at the airfield at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. And where do people get the tickets from for this, John?
From the library. From the other library.
Okay. That's it, thank you very much.
Yeah. No?
You looking?
I can't think of anything. No.
Can I just mention, Pete was speaking to somebody from the ball club a little while ago, and they were trying to find out who owned the land on which they play, because it's obviously they're not sure. And so I looked on the Land Registry website, and it is owned by the brewery, which is what people suspected, but now they know. And that's important if they wanted to apply for grants and so forth. So I said I'd just report that. Correspondence, there's some very exciting bits of paper here. People would like to take away the Clerk and Council Direct. East Riding News, which you've had by email, but it's here in glorious colour. And another copy of the same one, if somebody wishes that. And there's information, you may have read about the boundary commission between the Hull City Council and the East Riding of Yorkshire Council, and they're looking, Hull City Council are looking to try and change the boundary, and there's an independent commission of inquiry, and I've got some information on that if anybody would like that. Otherwise,
Can I interrupt on there? Although the press and the campaigns and things don't affect us here, because we are not in that immediate catchment area. But if, say, for example, Cottingham, Willoughby, Kirkella, Appleby, Hessel were all to be taken in by the city, it would actually have a huge implication on the resources that East Riding would have. Because obviously it's taking the income stream, basically, that sort of helps us, and I can say that here, but it's a lot of the income stream that supports our services out here in the rural communities actually is generated from the city boundary wards. So there is actually something in, is it your East Riding, the newspaper, there's a little reply slip in there. If you felt that you could support East Riding in their fight against this suggestion, then it would be much appreciated. I think I know that there are parish councils from Hampshire that are actually making a statement themselves and actually writing as a parish council to say that they're happy with East Riding as it is, as opposed to losing a portion of it. It's just so that you're aware that it is, although it doesn't directly affect us, indirectly it could affect us massively.
No correspondence? Helen? So this council meeting to an end, and the next meeting will be held on the 15th of October.
I'll see you tomorrow.
15th of October.
Oh yeah, of course.
Thank you all.
Yeah.